Welcome to another, I was going to say edition of Aquarius Rising. I know I didn't do my show tonight, but I wanted to kind of check in. I was out all day and I had a chance to relax a little bit. So I wanted to touch base with the YouTube family and talk about accessing your cellular memories and put a connection to that. So I'll wait until a couple people check in. Hey, love, how are you? Hey, Jess. Hey, Hayden. What's good? Everyone, yes. This is my second day in Brazil. I feel like I've been in Brazil for like a week. I feel like I've been here for like my lifetime, and we're gonna get into that. Hey, D. Hey, pretty patient. So as many of you know, if you don't know, I'm in Brazil. I did my exodus to Brazil. I'll be here for a while. So I've had some amazing, it's another universe. I'm in another space and time. But there's so many epiphanies that are coming. Hey, Nardia. Hi, Narda. Hey, Fatima. There's so many epiphanies that are coming. It's beyond my comprehension. You know, when you think you're woke and you realize that you just put on that snooze another 3 or 4 times, that's how I feel being here. And I'm going to talk about accessing cellular memories and how the water fast actually kicked in memories in my cells that awoke my ancestral DNA to allow me to access aspects of myself and actually do things that were in alignment with my actual genetics. So we'll get into that. It's amazing, family. And I have some, yes, Brazil is, listen, we were out all day. Don't get it twisted, family. I'm coming to you. I couldn't do the show tonight because I was on. Hey, Selma. I was out all day with Paula. Peace to my homie, Paula. We were out with my little ones all day, just trekking. And as you see, another ET sighting, another ET UFO. And I met some really eclectic dreadies out some artists, a really famous artist that's in Brazil. It was amazing. And they had like an ET with dreadlocks and a Brazilian cape. It was, you can't make this up. Only I could find something like that. So big up to my homies who's been out with me all day. We've been out shopping and it's amazing. I have a long day, but I wanted to touch this because it was it literally, family. I'm in awe. Like I said, for those checking in, I made my exodus to Brazil. I'll be here for a while. It's only my second day. I feel like I've been here indefinitely, but I've had some truly, hey, peace, Karen. You know, my eyesight is tragic because I was out all day. Hey, Blue Resonant Storm, peace. Hey, Jojo. Oh, you like my new earrings? Look, these are my favorite. Remember I used to wear these other earrings in my other videos, but I got it in St. Lucia. This one is made here. It's so beautiful. I love these earrings. These are my favorite. I wanted to buy, like, they only had another pair, so I'm going to go back and get like 2 or 3 because I love them that much. I love these. You saw more ships in Delaware? Delaware's off the hook. Susan, Delaware's off the hook. Absolutely. There's some sort of, oh, thank you, Lindsay. There's some sort of open vortex in Delaware. So let me get into accessing your cellular memory. Now, as you know, this is my second day in Brazil. I'll be here for a month, and then I'll probably be back again in 6 months for another month or 2, and then probably, if all goes well, indefinitely. So I had done a water fast, which many of you joined me for my water fast. It was a 30-day water fast. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it, everyone. Thank you, Amaya. I did my water fast for 30 days. Family, this is how excited I am. And this is why I love that when I have this share, I have to bring it out immediately because sometimes you just go asleep. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I thought I was woke. You know, some people will be like, I'm so woke. You know, I'm so awake. I'm so aware. Family, you've seen my journey. So you know that to a certain degree, I thought I was to a point. Thank you. I appreciate that, everyone. Brazil's growing on me. I'm leveling up, level up, level up, level up. Level up, level up, level up. I'm leveling up. So I really thought I was woke, family. I'm here to give you a truth. FleurBrun wasn't really that woke until I did my fast. I thought I was woke. I told you at the beginning of this video, I thought I was woke, and I must have hit the snooze button like 3 or 4 times. I thought I was awake, and I realized that I was on snooze on the third or fourth time. And the 30-day fast, it literally, it awakens my DNA. The latent DNA, the DNA that's suppressed by chemicalization by the food, GMO foods, which mutes your senses and also mutes certain DNA activations. It's also a lot of the foods cause a form of atrophy that disallows for you to access ancestral memories in your body. Now, what are you saying? You're saying right now, oh, FleurBrun, you're kind of going ODing. You're saying 30 days, you got to starve yourself. It isn't what I'm saying. I found something out that wasn't something that I knew previous to this, and I'm kind of bugging out right now, because if I had known that this, maybe because I was a geneticist, and mind you, because I worked in a laboratory, remember I did research, clinical research in dementia, Parkinson, and Alzheimer's. I'm very big in learning things about DNA, and you hear me talk about blood types. This is crazy, family. So the 30-day fast that I did, remember, many of you who joined me in this journey, you visually saw me going through the changes. Do you remember when I said to you I was craving foods specifically from my island? I was craving foods, not foods that I had eaten in the States. Remember, I'm born in America. I'm born in the U.S. Born in Mount Vernon, New York. Big up to Mount Vernon, New York. Money earned in Mount Vernon. Big up to all the my peeps from Mount Vernon. I'm drinking tea. You know it's different when you drink tea. So I was towards the end of the fast, I was craving native foods, and I knew something was going on, because I was like, these aren't foods that I eat here in the States. It wouldn't be something that I was craving. I was craving breadfruit, remember? I was craving the old-fashioned mangoes that are from my island. I was craving my green oranges that are from where I come from. I was craving a lot of the native fruits that come from the region where my family came from. And it was interesting because I understood a little bit, like the fast maybe cleanse me on so on. It's different, family. What I realized, and it hit a note in me, is that when I went on a 30-day fast, I kicked out every sort of mute in my body that normally suppresses an aspect of my ethereal body, which is connected to your physical body. Okay, and it disconnected me from my genetics, from my lineage. Remember, when you go outside and when you come to I'm in the middle of the jungle. Big up to anyone who lives in the jungle. Nature is not living in the jungle. If I show you the monkey walks that are across here, literally I'm in the middle of the jungle. We drove home. It took an hour to get from the city to where I'm staying, and drove and like trekking, opened my gate and I'm here. So as you see with ants, a lot of times when they're born, or bees, they have a natural overstanding and an innate ability to survive, and they know what to eat intrinsically. They know what to do intrinsically. It isn't necessarily taught. They don't have to watch the other ants. They actually just do mechanically, because they're accessing ancestral memories. People don't think, well, insects, they're accessing memories that are actually inside of their genomes that mechanically drives them to do whatever is part of whatever they do as that insect, as that animal. The difference between them, insects and animals, is that they aren't being perpetually chemicalized and drugged and what is it? What's a drug like? What's a drug that like not PATS like I was just gonna say, like, it's almost like someone's put you under anesthesia, but you're still somewhat awake. So you're walking around with amnesia, and you're walking around and just being, and you're just following whatever's being taught to you. Tranquilizer, thank you, yes, Lundy. Tranquilizer. It kind of feels like that. So the 30-day fast, what it did is it kicked in It allowed for my ancestral DNA to be kicked in. So what's interesting, family, is as soon as that happened, I not only was eating native foods that were from a place that my family came from, I started to crave to go back home to where my original family, remember my family migrated from South America. And back in the days, it was called Cayenne, which is French Guyana, and the tip of Brazil, okay? They migrated into Panama. Many of the Caribbean people, I'm Carib. I'm mixed with the Carib and obviously the Arawak, traces of Arawak and Taino. So you know that we migrated back and forth from Central and South America and the Caribbean. But I literally was craving to go back home. And I remember thinking it was a drive more so to go to Brazil. Before, you've heard me years talking about I was doing my exodus to Brazil, but the drive after my 30-day fast became more of not me wanting to go to a separate country, but go back home. I literally accessed through a 30-day fast my ancestral memories. When I landed here, family, I remember the smell of everything. And you can vouch this with Paola. It's such a beautiful name. I have to say it like a Brazilian. Paola will vet this out. I literally remembered places when I came here. I haven't ever been here before. I had memories of roads and trees. I actually was having visuals. Remember on the plane, I told you I was having flashes of geographical locations. I literally had access my ancestral memories that made me want to go back home and consume and be a part of a placement that my ancestors walked previously. As soon as I was here, I'm looking at roads, I recognize them. Every smell, I recognize. The people's faces have connections to me genetically. I can feel, and it's not like admiration. Brazil has very many different faces, many different nationalities, very eclectic. It's a lot of people. Brazil is huge. It's not just one place. I'm actually in one place now, but it's got a multitude of people. But what I found is that the fast kicked in, it actually it took off the mute. It basically took the cap off of my DNA. That's what I'm basically saying to you. Literally, it took the cap off my DNA. It allowed me to access my ancestral memories, and it actually released aspects of my memory of the foods that I consumed, my ancestors consumed, which I started to crave. Then it actually was driving me to do a move. Now, mind you, subconsciously, I knew this. So we could say to ourselves, okay, well, FleurBrun, you were talking about this for years, but remember, it's all relative. I was probably saying it for years because I had a subconscious knowledge that it was somewhere that I knew before. But when I came and landed, I recognized the terrain. I recognized the smells. I can smell the people's pheromones. It is mine. It is the most close to a home-like feeling that I've ever felt in my life. It isn't just because the country is beautiful. It has its own issues, and we'll get into that later. Brazil is not a perfected place. It's not, it's not just woke. People are not wake here. It is another form of suppression. I'm not saying that. But because I released my caps on my DNA and accessed my ancestral memories, I felt a need to go home. And when I reached Brazil, I felt like I had been here my entire life. I even saw the trees having a connection to me personally. Like the way that I walk and I would feel when a tree passed, it wasn't just like a tree that I love trees. It was like a recognition that I recognized this species of tree, because there's many different species of trees here. One thing I will say in South America, you have trees that are amazing trees you've never seen before, living harmonically with other species of trees in the same location, which is amazing. And also, hold on, and so happy. This is a profound discovery. I don't even think they'll even tell you this. Maybe there's scientists that talk about this, and we talk about epigenetics and messing with people's genomes and creating foods that helps to mute them so that they have an ultimate disconnection from who and what they are. And many of us are mixed with many different nationalities. This is something that we have to talk about too. You're mixed with a lot of different people, but there's more of you sometimes that is very connected to certain places. Like Paola said when she goes to Europe, because her family's from there, she said she felt like home before she had ever been there. She said she felt and recognized home because that's where her ancestors went. So as soon as she landed in Europe for the first time, she felt like this is my home. She felt a connection to the land, to the terrains, because her genetics recognized we have more than we even give credit to. All that junk DNA that they talk about, everything that they're saying that we literally have to be trained to be human, it's insane. And I released an aspect of a truth that I thought about it, but it would only happen from doing something as insane. Big up to those who joined me for the fast. That fast was intense, family. I told you on the first day and the 23rd day of my fast, 23rd day, I was like, what am I doing? Remember I told you, on the 23rd day, I was almost about to, throw in the ropes. I said 30 days. But 23rd day, I was almost like, one more week, what am I doing? So I want to talk about what is required for many of you. I'm not telling you to fast for 30 days. This is not what I'm saying. I'm not encouraging anyone to not eat for 30 days. What I'm making a point of is that what they're doing to you and our children is basically suppressing your genetic memories. It's disallowing you from connecting to who and what you are. The foods that are more cohesive to your gene pool and to your blood type are being totally capped so that you're unable to basically have cravings of foods that are from your genetic makeup. Because like you say, you go to a store and you get food for a hamster, or you go and buy a guinea pig, which I don't agree with. I'm just using it as an example. And you go and purchase these foods and when you go to the store, they give you the food that the guinea pig eats, right? They give you the food that the hamster eats. They say, well, listen, hamsters eat this, stay away from this because they'll get sick. Most of us haven't gotten that, FYI. Most of us have basically either were nomadic, moved from area to area and disconnected from our general consensus of where we originated from. A lot of other people were stripped of their identity and reconditioned and modified so that they were traumatized. MK Ultra, we talk about that. So what it does is it has another intrinsic cap through trauma, through generations. So when you traumatize a grandmother, remember trauma-based programs, big up to the Nazis who did a phenomenal, disgusting job at creating these really detrimental experiments on the Judaic people and others, because it wasn't just Jewish people that were doing experiments on, with their others. And what they found out by doing these heinous acts and perpetually traumatizing a person, that not only do you suppress an aspect of their memories, because the memory goes and hides itself somewhere in order to cope with the trauma. So sometimes your brain gets compartmentalized, mostly all the time. But not only does it do that, what they don't tell you, see, this is interesting how you'll go and read science journals. This is what I used to do before. I don't do that anymore. I used to do that more in my youth when I was in research and studying forms of dementia, Parkinson, Alzheimer's. I worked in a lab, basic genetics, okay? What they won't tell you, family, is not only does the trauma MK Ultra hurt you right the way, but it stores in you and it passes through generations 2 and 3 generations later. Just like mice. Remember, I did research. If you do something to one of the grandmothers or the great grandmother, it will pass through the genetics. The trauma memory passes through. So imagine you can't remember the foods that your ancestors ate. you have that muted. You can't remember the lands that the weather that your ancestors desired the most, but they make sure that the trauma that will cap you and limit you will be remembered. So you'll have a grandmother who was raped heinously, and you won't understand that her great-granddaughter will have a fear of men, sometimes won't even want to mess with men, or she will have some sort of issue with sex. So it will show up as a physical ailment, like she's not able to have sex, or she always gets a yeast infection because her body is remembering, has a cellular memory of rape in previous 2 to 3 generations. Now, I've studied this, and you could vet that out. One thing I say is I know that 1000%. It is stored in your cellular memory, trauma. And because of that, you have to take in consideration that these programs were created to basically kill your offspring 2 and 3 generations. And it's not a physical killing, it's a mental killing. It's a murder of your mind, of your passive mind. That's what they're doing. And with this 30-day fast, family, I can't even believe that this is, like I said, I thought I was woke. I was not woke. No, I was asleep. I was literally asleep. I flew to Brazil. I had some contact. I had more contact, and I have these epiphanies, and I'm remembering all the land. I've been here before. I smell the same trees. I have memories. My cellular memories are awake. This is a region my ancestors walked. I can smell, I can see the terrain. I recognize it. I also recognize certain animals and bugs. It's interesting because my cellular memories are online, and it has been offline. Even with remember, I've always been pretty good at trying to, look into things and so on, but I couldn't access things that you can't access what you don't know exists. And sometimes we try to access things, and sometimes we further mute them by doing other things. But oh my God, what have these bastards done? Okay, so the good thing, I don't ever want to talk, oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be appropriate for my video because I'm trying to keep clothes on. I'm in Brazil, and the people are closed here. What I'm trying to say, if I tell you there's a problem, let's talk about resolvement, because I'm not one, I'm even that kind of mother. If we talk about the problem, I always want to have some sort of resolvement. What I realized is that we're going to have to clear, basically like reset your computer. You have to do it. However it doesn't. Now, I'm not telling you to fast. There's other ways to reset, and we probably should research other ways other than fasting. The problem is that most of the food is genetically homogenized, including the organic fruit that you get. When I'm going to Brazil and I'm here seeing gargantuan fruit and vegetables that look like they're plump and they're not putting any pesticides, when I'm walking in Brazil and I don't see one chemtrail, I haven't seen one chemtrail plane fly over my head. Paola said there was no chemtrails here. I believed her, but now I know there aren't any chemtrails here. They aren't flying over it. Now, there's a catch to that, because the people here aren't woke, the people who are genetically from here. And why is that the case? Because they're doing other forms of suppression and other forms of MK Ultra to the people here. There's an indoctrination through religion. What you will see here is a lot of churches. So that's a form of Stockholm syndrome and forms of conditioning the mind to accept that something outside of yourself is greater than yourself, and you are a slave to an artificial thought and concept of something that is unprovable and isn't necessarily connected to you on a more tribal base. Everybody's from tribes. We're all from different tribes. Okay, there's no chemtrails. Listen to me, family. I wouldn't lie to you. Where I'm staying, there are 0. I haven't been anywhere. I travel. Hawaii, I've been to most islands. I've been to Central America. There are 0 chemtrails where I am. 0. I will tell you if it shows up. I'll be honest to say, if I see something the next day or so on, I'll tell you. But Paolo told me there was no chemtrails. I believed her, but there are absolutely 0 chemtrails, okay? The people are being suppressed here by modification of their minds via the church religion, heightened religion, and also a form of segregation, which is a little archaic. You'll see that Brazil is the most beautiful and the most it's the most eclectic people, most mixed people you ever see, but the suppression of people of color is overt. Like it's archaic. It's kind of like you've jumped into a time vortex. And it's not funny, but it's interesting that in certain parts of the country and the world, that what is unacceptable in one aspect. Now, have I been, I'm fine. I'm grateful I've been treated well. I obviously have just, I've just seen it from a distance. But I will tell you, there is a very interesting dynamic here of suppression, oppression, indoctrination through religion, over chemicalizing people, alcoholism, and you see a lot of people that suffer from mostly that. I see so on. But some positive things I see about the Brazilian women where I am, all the women of color have their natural hair curly. They actually don't straighten their hair. Like when I went to, what I noticed about the women here in this part of Brazil, because it's very different in Rio. Like I said, Brazil is a very huge, very big country. It's huge. In Rio, I heard the women of color tend to straighten their hair, trying to mimic something a little more Europeanized. Whereas here, more so where I am, is the women are okay in their natural form. You don't see them trying to tress their hair. They actually have really good hair stuff, which I just tried. Just wearing their natural curly hair, thicker. They don't have an issue. The men don't dislike the women with coily hair. Men like the women of any way they look. So the women they're generally okay with their own. There's no physical feeling about themselves. They're okay being themselves. But you see suppression. There is separatism in a certain degree, like a certain kind of. You see it. It's over to us because I'm from somewhere else, so you can see it. And Paola sees it, but to them, they know it exists, but it isn't anything they can do about it. You know what I mean? It's embedded into the very culture and the country that they live in. Okay, but I will tell you, the air is clean. The fruit is absolutely phenomenal. The ambiance, and when you experience, like I had a phenomenal night, the people were so wonderful and happy and friendly. They're singing outside, the smiles, I see people I recognize their gene pool. It's amazing. I took a picture with a girl who looks just like one of my best friends. It was amazing how my genetics recognized a region that my ancestors walked on, and they were there long enough to pick up those memories. And what you're going to have to start doing is clearing by trying to reverse some of the suppression, starting to perhaps try to disallow some of the genetic food to alter you. So I was thinking about ways, because I have to think of a way to kind of do things without starvation. Remember, I fasted. This is what triggered the cellular memories to come online. It did it after the 30 days. It actually did it previous to the 30 days, so I don't think it was I fasted till the 30 days, but I felt the craving of breadfruit, all these things, around 21 days. So my cellular memories were kicked online around the 21st day. This is what I think. I don't think you should fast, especially as many people are very tiny, very small. I'm not suggesting that. But we have to literally find a better way to access your cellular memories. And I think it's a matter of, this is where I'm going to tell you to do something. You know, I always have something to do it. I personally think that some of you need to take that vacation for more than a month. See how I fasted for 30 days? If you can't fast for 30 days, I say you leave the country for 30 days. Listen, don't tell your bosses I said this. Please don't let them listen to you in the office listening to my video, because you will be probably released, and you'll probably be happy as long as you can, you know, feel your abundance in any which way you need it. But I personally think this is the one way that you can actually trigger your cellular memories. You're going to have to leave where you are. Remember, if you've been abused somewhere, the worst thing you can do if you've ever been abused somewhere is stay there. And if your country and your city and your teachers and the people around you are abusing you, it is time to relocate. And maybe the exodus is more about us removing ourselves from traumatic situations where we're being perpetually genocidally muted and suppressed, and moving to a region. Now, mind you, not everybody needs to go to South America. Some of you need to go to Scotland. Some of you need to go to Ethiopia. Some of you need to go to Hawaii or Bali. Some of you need to go to Madagascar. Do you understand what I mean? I think what it is, and I think this is where you can release some of the memories, is by leaving your personal situation with the indoctrination. Because remember, you're used to eating the same foods, you're used to living in the same region, you're used to the same frequencies. If you take yourself out of this scenario, which has perpetually kept you in a certain state, you could probably trigger memories to come about. And this is what I'm going to suggest to everyone here, because I had to figure out a way to do it in a way that was cohesive to everyone and realistic. Because I don't want to make it seem like you should, like I said, I don't think everyone should be fasting, but I think everyone needs to do an exodus. So FleurBrun is going to say, listen, I did an exodus to Brazil. It's only my second day here. I'm so grateful to have some of the most, I feel, like I said, we had adventures. It's been 2 days of pure adventures. I feel like I'm living a life. I feel like I wasn't living before I did. I don't know, it's so surreal. And I'm not sure if I'll be here indefinitely, but I will tell you, the time that I'm here, I know that it's only because I allowed access to my actual memories. So what I will say, if you feel a propensity, and people will be like, how do I know to where I go? You know where you should go. You know what people say. I have girlfriends who said all the time that people used to say, you look Ethiopian. Why not go to, maybe not Ethiopia, but why not go to Sudan or somewhere where it's safe? Why not go there and maybe do, like a habitat of, if you don't have the money, because people are like, oh, FleurBrun, not everybody can quit their jobs. I'm not suggesting that. I'm telling you that if you're being killed genetically, if they're muting you, if they're harming you, what the hell is it? I'm going to curse. What the hell is the point of you living? Why are you even living then? Take the chance. Live your best life. Take that vacation. Listen, tell them you're having a mental breakdown and you need that time, and just say, listen, I'm breaking down. I need to have some mental health. I have some mental health issues. And part of this is me needing to free myself from the suppression or this system that is hurting me. I suggest every one of you that feels, that is watching this right now, the universe will support you. It did for me. And let me tell you, family, if you think that you can't do it, FleurBrun was with a husband for almost 20 years. I have 2 little ones that I reared on my own. Many of you saw me on YouTube. There hasn't been any man who has ever sat here and do this and helped me do anything other than what I required of him, which is 0. I took this trip on my own. I did it on my own. I was grateful to do it. I allowed abundance to come in easily and effortlessly. I've taken that concept, but I've done everything on my own, and I'm safe. I've gratefully raised little people that will grow up to be big people that are very beautiful and loving and kind and resourceful and bring a better way of life for everyone. I've done it on my own. So don't say that you can't, and don't say because you're a mother without a man that you're unable to do it. Listen, the sea star showed up. Paola showed up for me. One of our own sea stars, and many of us have family. Many of you know our YouTube family lives all over the world. It was one of our own that came for me at the house. Listen, she told me to come up. This is why I know I'm about this life. She told me to come up. I booked my tickets and I'm here. She came to the airport. She's been helping me with translation. She's here. This is what I'm saying. When you're meant to do it, don't feel like you're alone. Your sisters will show up. Your brethren will show up. I promise you. That I can guarantee you, if you're receptive, if it's for the positive. It's not if it's shallow, if it's materialistic. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you are in alignment with your higher divine self, the universe will support you, and it will make sure you're safe, and it will make sure you will have all the resources above and beyond what's required. Take a chance. This is what I'm saying. This is my suggestion. I thought about it for a little bit. I had to think of a way to trigger your cellular memories, because had I not come here, I may have just thought I'm craving foods from Martinique and St. Lucia, but it wasn't that. I was craving foods from South America. I was craving I was craving to go home. So I think this is exciting. I'm grateful for the reveal, and I'm also humbled that I don't know everything, and every day I surprise myself by learning something new and more profound than I knew before. And I don't beat up myself on not knowing everything all the time, and I forgive myself for sometimes taking on patterns of thoughts or behaviors that are not cohesive with me. But what I've accepted is that my highest and greatest purpose has always been there, but the only way that I was able to fully unlock it was by releasing aspects of the suppressive chemicalization and people. Remember, I'm zero around people that are suppressing or creating havoc in my life. I live in my outside bubble, so that also helps being not staying away. I don't want to use the negations. I want to stay positive. Being around those who are in the same frequency, or staying happily and gratefully with your own company. It's worked. It's worked for me. So I'm telling everyone, get yourself, if you feel this, if this video motivates you and you feel that way, I would suggest taking a 1 month. See, we're going to talk about the 30 days. Remember, it's not just one. There's not just one way to a destination. There's many different paths. I happen to do the fasting path, but it doesn't mean you have to take that path. You can go to the same destination via a different route. Okay, so you don't have to do it, because I always know that I've met people on my road that took a totally different path, and we met, and it's like, how do we meet each other? Because it's not, you can't judge someone's disposition or where they go and how they're going en route. Some people take a longer route, some people have a rocky route, some people have an easy route, but the goal, sometimes we meet each other at one of a point, and it's because it doesn't matter really how you go there. It's if that's your destination, you'll make it there when it's time for you to make it there. Okay, so I would suggest, family, like I said, don't tell your bosses this. Please don't have people calling my station. Listen, there's been some weird things. People, bosses, wives, husband call my station, say, FleurBrun, you're telling my wife that she shouldn't stay with me because I'm not a divine male. I've heard it all, family. Listen, I should put a PSA on my videos. I am zero responsible for any free will choices that you make via the advice or the shares that I give on FleurBrun's platform. Please watch with a level of discernment so that you take full responsibility of the decisions that you chose to make based on your own universal frequency and vibration. That's going to be my PSA. Welcome to Brazil. So, family, I think I'm excited. I thought I'd share this with you. I've accessed my cellular memories. It was able to place me in a position where I decided to go home. And I accessed points of DNA that allowed me to also realize what foods my body required. Now, remember, if you go the fast route, you're going to have some issues, because once you fast, especially that long amount of days, when you start to eat anything that is against your DNA, you will get more adverse reactions than previous to your fast. So be mindful, because I remember I went out to eat, and I'm allergic to, now I realize I'm allergic to a specific species of coconut. The coconuts that you guys eat in the States is not the coconut that's indigenous to the places I go. So I had an allergic reaction to coconut, thinking I was allergic to coconut, but it wasn't the coconut, it was a specific species of coconut that they're using. And I think they're purposefully using a more detrimental coconut in the States. That's what I just think. But when I accessed coconut from the region here, I've had zero reactions. I've actually felt okay. There's another earthquake. This is like the third. Family, I'm not going crazy. This is like the third, I gotta ask Paula. This is like the third earthquake I felt like in, I know it sounds crazy. I felt a shake. Like I felt a shake earlier and it was slight. I'm gonna check the seismic activity. And then I felt another one in the kitchen and then I just felt one now. It's interesting. It could just be the vibrations of my frequency. So who's gonna do the Exodus? Oh, I'm excited. I say, listen, you want me to give you, I could give you some good excuses. Listen, family, I'm not telling you to do the Nature Knot Exodus and sell all your belongings. I'm telling you to find a way to have one month of respite. However, it's healthy for you. If you have, now listen, mommies, FleurBrun is a mommy. I love my babies. They are my babies forever. I love them. I take them with me. For mommies, you know, for Nature Nut, who told people to leave their children back in Babylon, what he called Babylon, that's sick. When you are a healthy mama bear, you take your cubs with you. Your baby cubs come with you everywhere. They mimic you. And as you free yourself, you free those cubs from the same indoctrination that you suffered from. So take this Exodus. If you do, I as a mother will always tell you that my advice to you and my suggestion and my call for you is to take your babies with you. If you're going to be healthy, you take those cubs with you and make them healthy. Keep other people away from your babies. You know best. Take your children with you everywhere. If you have to be the type of person that leaves them outside of you because you have to do something and you can't take them, it means that maybe you shouldn't be doing what you're doing if you can't bring your children and they can't witness you. If you're a healthy parent, your children should be able to witness you in all scenarios except, you know, obviously certain, you know, private things, but they should be able to be in your company wherever you go. If you are unable to do that for long stints, it means something about you probably needs to be readdressed. Okay? That's just my suggestion. So take the babies with you. Do your Exodus. Like I said, I have girlfriends from like who I know when I look at them because I can pick out people's genes. Like I know that their family's from like Greenland. Go if you're having the memories. Some of you, okay, let me say this. As working with genetics, I know many of you already have an inkling of your genetics. Why do I know this? Because you have dreams about being places. That's part of your code, being somewhat suppressed but released. So sometimes you'll dream about being on the footlands of Ireland. Like I've had a girlfriend who worked at the airport. This is years ago. She had worked at the airport and she used to have dreams of like being in Ireland all the time outside. And it wasn't even like the main town of Shannon. It was like out in some obscure places. She could remember, like she'd have these weird dreams. We would talk about it because you know I'm about this life. I talk about stuff like that. And she worked for the airlines. It was one of the places she never went. And I said to her one day, I was like, yo, you dreaming about Ireland? Why don't you just go? And she was like, I don't have anyone to go with. I was like, every person we know, you could find someone to go and chill out or a friend to go. She ended up going to Ireland, met her husband, and they had their children there. But she said she recognized the foothills. Do you see what I mean? She was having, I think all of you have it.